There we go. Oh, I'll maybe add the bio again at the beginning. But anyway, here's Hanna Dís.
Oops, but you probably, do you see you only see the
I only see your presentation.
Okay. Yeah. So wait, I'll try to move this a bit. No, don't want to move. Okay. Yeah. So yes, I'm Hanna Dís Whitehead, and when me and Alice chatted a bit before this presentation, she told me maybe to tell a little bit of my background and my previous project, and then go into these like local material projects, which are my most recent ones. So my background is that I'm actually not from here. I'm not from the southeast of Iceland. I'm from the Reykjavik. I'm basically born and raised there, but I also have lived a bit in Freiburg in south of Germany, and I lived in Montpellier in south of France. And then I lived a little bit also in Oxford. And so not completely just in Reykjavik, but I traveled a little bit around. And then my school background is that I was going to study Icelandic for some reason and become a teacher, but I had like one art class that I really enjoyed, and the teacher was like, hey, maybe you should, what are you going to do after this? What are you going to do in university? And I said, yeah, I think I'm going to be a teacher. And she said, what? You're going to be a teacher? Maybe you should check out some art, or maybe you should actually check out design. So that's what I kind of did. And I was really, somehow design is very young in Iceland, so I didn't know so much about it. But the more I researched it, I was very excited about it. So I went to like a technical school in Hornafjörður, which is close to Reykjavik. And there I studied like, I don't know what to call it. It was like a pre-university design. And it was really good school because we learned how to, weld. We learned how to use metal. We learned how to build stuff from wood. We learned plastics. We learned all sorts of like really how to use materials. And also we learned, practical things like technical drawing and stuff like that. And then I went to a few schools in Denmark to prepare for university. And Danish design, as you know, is quite like minimalistic and straight. And the teacher there was like, oh, so what are you going to do now after this? And I said, oh, I think I'll go to the Danish design school. And she was like, oh, no, maybe you should check out this school. And she told me about the Design Academy Eindhoven. And that's where I did my studies. So that's kind of my like school background in a way. And I think it also explains a little bit why I work so much with different materials. It's kind of like where I was brought up in. Also in Design Academy, you do a lot of material research. And then after graduating in 2011, which feels like 2 years ago, but was a really long time ago, apparently, I founded my studio. And since then, I've been doing like all sorts of different things. I've been working quite a lot with ceramics, which was definitely not my favorite material when I was in school. I really hated it. And I've been working with like digital printed textiles, but also I've been working with like this was a textile I did with my friend Claire Anderson. We did it for a Scottish factory. And I do woodwork. This is like lacquered wood, and I do tufting. I do the rugs. I do furniture. I do sculpture. I do accessories, like all sorts of things for the home, basically. So the home is kind of where I'm always placing my things, and where I like imagine them to be. And many people who studied with me in the department I was in, they went on to, for example, focus on retail space or something like that, like a more commercial space. And I think one of the things I really like to do and have always done is mix together materials. So, for example, this room divider is wood, ceramics, and textiles. And I think, yeah, my work is between art, design, and craft. and that's I really like being there. It feels really nice to be on that border. Yeah, I don't know. It just yeah, it feels nice. And then recently, I think like it started kind of in that COVID times, which we have all forgotten about, I hope. But in COVID, things started to get difficult to get. Like I couldn't get like a certain yellow underglaze for a really long time because the supply chain was somehow cut. And then I was like, why am I always using these materials that I order? I should use more the materials around me. So I started to do research about first I started with the second graded wool. So I live on a farm here in Southeast Iceland. So I have really good direct access to the wool. The sheep house is just next to my house. And I knew that the wool in Iceland is graded into a few, what do you say, grades or a few classes. And the second graded wool is mostly still, although many people are now working with it, it is still, I think, mostly shipped out of the country and used for like industrial rugs and stuff like that. Because the textile industry in Iceland is mainly now just making knitting yarn. That's what they're doing. So that wool is too rough for the knitting yarn, so they just ship it abroad. And I thought, okay, that's a really exciting material to work with, because I felt like I was living in my home and I was sleeping in my bed and I was thinking, wow, while I sleep, this material is just growing and growing and growing. Feels like endless supply. So these are bags of that wool when it's just dirty in the sheep house. And then I decided I wanted to somehow, I had been gathering my rug tufting excess, like my extra material there, the cut-offs, and I somehow wanted to combine this. And I went to first I had to wash the wool, of course, and dry it. And then I went with it in the textile. There's a textile lab on the other side of Iceland where I met Alice the first time. Where I brought this wool and I combed it together with my yarn leftovers, and I made some industrial felt. There's a felt loom machine there, a really good one. So first I comb it and then I put it through this machine. So there I am working. So I don't know if everybody is familiar with this machine. For me, it was really new when I saw it first, and I thought, oh wow, there's a lot of opportunities because it's quite wide, and you can like a wide, I don't know how it is, 2 meters or something wide, but you can do endless length. So I felt like it could really become something. And here are a few samples like non-felted and felted wool, and a few tryouts of like the material I made, and it really looks a bit like marble or something, or blue cheese. I'm not sure, something in between marble and blue cheese. And I also was trying to like draw on it with yarn, so it's not so it's like making patterns and stuff, and cutting it up and trying to make some objects and projects out of it. And this was like the first series I did. And because when the material came out of the machine, I was really like, wow, this felt is, because I've done felt before, like when I was a child, and it was always really like soft and wobbly, but there in this machine, the material was really like, it felt like a building material. It was so strong. And I thought, wow, we have so much of this wool in Iceland and we have so little wood. Maybe I can use it instead of wood. And therefore I started using it in furniture in this way. So to use a little bit less of the imported wood and use more of our wool. And then it would also maybe automatically have some, like, maybe not like very much, but some like, do you say noise cancelling, or like a noise, making noise a little bit less in the apartment. And I did some shells with it, and and yeah, lots of different experiments with the furniture. And I really like the way that it can be used as a really, like I say, like a building material, like a wood, and then you can have it soft as well, like with this ribbon, which is very, very textile-y. And then the second time around, I colored the wool because I don't know if it was in my bio, but the other material I've been working with is straw, and I've been coloring the straw, and then I used the leftover dye for my wool. So I would color the straw and have all this dye left in the pot, and I was like, wow, I have to use this dye up. So then I started like throwing the wool in the dye and getting like really nice colors, and the more you, as many know, the more you use the dye, the lighter the color becomes. So I got some really nice colors, and then I went again into the textile lab, and I did some felted pieces where I instead of using the leftover yarn, I was using like this all these colors to try to make patterns and different kind of things. So I would like hand felt it into something I had pre-felted a few times, and then like really go through back and forth through the machine to really get it to stick. And I got some, I don't know, it was really, for me, very, very exciting pieces I got from that. And this year I again got wool from the farmers, but this year I joined them when they were taking the wool off the animals, because after doing this 2 times, I really know which wool of the second graded wool I can use and which parts not. Because, for example, I can use most of the leg wool, which is very rough wool, but if the sheep really liked lying on the left side, the left leg of it is very fatted already, and then it won't go through the machine. So I could really pick out the wool I know I can use. So now I have a lot of usable wool. But this was very nice for me to a bit like somehow like paint with the wool and was very somehow like a free feeling. Use the colored wool. I really liked it. But also to do it a bit strict, like with the yarn. And from this I did a few things already. I've done some combining again of ceramics and wool, and another cabinet, and this one as well. So what you see in many of these pictures is actually like a small details of the straw work I do. So in that cabinet, for example, you see the ceramic hangers inside and the wool outside, and on the side of the cabinet outside, there's an inlay from straw. So that's the straw I'm using. So it's the same dye, and you can see it really in the colors, that it's the same dye in the flower, the same color as in the wool. So that's really nice that you get like a collection. So talking about straw is like I mean, I worked also with kind of straw when I was in Design Academy, but then I came to Iceland, and I actually had quite a difficult time finding any materials. I was used to having like really good access to all sorts of woods and all sorts of straw and all sorts of anything you want, you can find there. But then I came home and everything was difficult, so I didn't work with straw for 10 years. And then I was living in the farm, and I was always walking past the straw, and I was looking at it, and I was like, why am I not using it? And then one day I just decided, okay, it's time. It's time that we do something together. So I got this is barley, but first time I did it, I got oat straw, and these pictures are from last harvest, where I took barley, because not everybody knows, but grain in Iceland has been like mission impossible because it's too cold here. So there has never really been a lot of grains growing, like wheat and what is it? Wheats? No, like flour thing. And oats and barley, it has been like they tried to do it, but then they stopped. But now, like the government is sponsoring it, they really want to be self-sufficient with the grains. So there's so much of it now, which is very exciting because then it gives us opportunity to use this material, which has been used in, Asia and Europe, of course, for centuries. And this is me in the fields. It's always like this great weather when you take the harvest in. And the farmer there just calls me and he's like, okay, we're coming in with the big machines. You better hurry here with your scissors, because I do it with these big grass cutting scissors. And it's actually, people think it's really slow, but like I always say, I'm so used to working with ceramics where everything is so slow. I find it quite quick. The grains are planted in a very straight row, and I just come there and like cut it straight and get ones like this. And I usually just cut the barley off, and then the mice can eat that on the fields, but I don't take it into my studio because it becomes a little bit sour and stuff. And then I take the outside of the straw off, and then I do this. I take every single straw and cut it open. Take the outside off. And there you have it. This, I admit, is quite time consuming, but a very nice thing to do. And then I get these kind of straws, almost straws. And then I can dye it. And this is like the dye bath where I just throw in the wool also in the end. And you have to really boil it for a long time, because I thought when I would put the straw into boiling water, it would become like spaghetti, but it's like a really strong material. It stays very stiff. And I boil it for I turn it on when I come to the studio at 8 o'clock. I turn it off at 4, and it stays in the warm water until the day after, and then it's finally colored. So I've been getting really nice colors. Only color I'm having difficulties getting is blue, because the straw is so yellow, every blue turns green, so I have a lot of greens. But I've been bleaching the straws now in sun to get them whiter, and I will do try another round this year, getting those colors. You could also buy straw off Amazon, but this is much more fun to do yourself if you have access to it. And then I did a lot of different material tests. I did some baskets and this and that, but it's hard to compete with some basket from Bonus, which cost 100 kroners or something. So I got into, in every straw book I saw one page about straw marketry, and I thought that was very interesting. So that's what I kind of became a little bit really interested in. And there I am ironing the straw. Don't have to do that. You can do this with a tool, but I find it becomes quite nice when you do it this way. And I've bought, gathered all sorts of straw and equipment. I also have some things where you can split the straw in certain, 6 parts or something like that. And okay, this is a straw weaving, but I've been doing the straw marketry, there are some samples. And this was quite, for me at least, my Google was not working with me on this project. I was trying to find, my Google was broken. It took a long time to find the way how to do this. I ended up in the French part of Google, and there it was. People there have been really holding this thing alive. I'm sure it is in many other places. But they are really using it a lot. There's a queen of straw there, Lison Ducon, and she makes straw rooms for Cartier, everything very fancy, golden rooms, and they do straw inside Rolex watches, and it's all very because I think their craft is very, I think people there think of craft as a good thing, a noble thing, or I don't know how to say it in English. But in Iceland, craft is considered really like low method. I don't know how to explain this, but there is like really celebrated. And it's really beautiful with the straw that you don't need to put any lacquer to make it shiny on it. It has this natural shine and it's naturally waterproof as well, and that's why it's so hard to dye it. And so it somehow, yeah, it's a very exciting material. And I've been using it mainly like an inlay in wood, because here in this remote part of Iceland, where we have 1,500 people, we have a fab lab in town, like a maker space. So I can go in there and I can use the computer router and the laser cutter, and I found my way with laser cutting the straw, which I think is very interesting, because yeah, you get like a different kind of feel for it. And I've been laying it, doing inlay into wood with it. So I glue the straw down on plywood, and then I laser cut it and put it into the pine wood. So this is like a flower etagere. But it was also in the wool cabinets you saw before, some strange flowers on the side. That was all straw work, some inlay. But also in like this wood vase. This is all, this is like the smiley faces laser cut part. And this is a cabinet I made with the straw. But I mean, of course, this takes some time. And since I've been until now always mixing it into like a mix of other things, like my next project up this autumn is to take like 2 months where I only do straw, where I only do straw and experiments, and I'm really trying to, you know, push it a bit further. So that's like my next project is that. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about the wood, because it's not really a local material, not really, although I've used from the local forest, but it's maybe in the same, I think, zone of just walking around here in Höfn and trying to find materials here. Just very quickly go through that, because I think there's not so much time, or what, have I talked quickly?
Oh, no, we still have plenty of time. You're doing great.
Okay. So, so the wood thing is that we have this hardware store in town, and I decided I'm only going to use the wood from that hardware store. I'm not going to order wood from Reykjavik or anywhere else. I'm just going to use what they have. And then when I'm there, I'm always seeing this wood in the trash, and it's this like little sticks of wood, and they use this wood when they're shipping the wood to Iceland. They have like a lot of wood in plastic, wrapped in plastic. I don't know how to say it. And these sticks are put between these plastic wrapped wood. So this is not sold. It's just to make a little bit of space in between the wood. I don't know if I'm explaining this very well. But some of that wood is totally cracked because it has had a lot of load on it. And some of it is not straight, and there are all sorts of problems. But some of them I've seen I realized like a pattern in them, that some of them are very nice, very good. So I've been like, I did like a partner, I don't know if you say partnership with them, and I was like allowed to rate their trash basically. So I've been collecting this wood, and you have to sand it a lot and stuff, but I used it for like this shelf. I mean, you cannot really see it, but I used it for the shelf, and I used it for the inside of this cabinet. So this cabinet is basically all made of like second graded wool, and then this trash wood. And then I used it like inside to try to like use it instead of some of the other wood. And then I used it like in the front of this wood as a pattern. And I thought that was very much fun, and I'm sure I will continue with that, using it like a decorative material. But the thing is, yeah, it was this really funny feeling that we have almost like really little wood in Iceland, and we're shipping like a whole forest to Iceland, and then we just say like, oh no, not you, and just throw it in the trash. And then we also get these kind of woods. They call it like banana wood in the hardware store. It's really like bent like a banana. So nobody wants to buy it because you don't want to put that in your house. So, wait, I accidentally unplugged my computer. I'm just going to quickly update it. Yeah, sorry. So I thought maybe, I mean, because I do such small productions and it's a lot of one-offs, I can use whatever material in a way. So I took these home with me. I have worked with it a little bit, but the main thing I've done is like I did this hanger, multi-hanger from it. And when I exhibited this, like at least 2 people asked me like, and did you bend the wood? Like they thought it was really nicely bent, like thought I had bent it, but it was just like, it was just such a nice bent. And now this wood is so precious to me in my studio that I had to build a table for some exhibition the other day, and I didn't want to use it because, you know, the bent wood is suddenly, yeah, very precious. So this was just the wood I got from my first trash trip, but it became like so much more. This was wood that they had like scratched. So, I mean, I just sanded it. So it's not like I'm doing like something new or something. Wow, it's just like nice that you can still take it from them and use it. And this is then this Icelandic wood from the forest, which is like 200 kilometers away or something like that. So we have some wood, but just not, it's still a young forest. And but I'm gonna get some more this summer when I'm there. Yeah, and then, like I said, just working with this pine that they have in the hardware store, trying to use it in different ways. So these are all from this local hardware store wood. I mean, it's not the best wood. It has a lot of these eyes in it and stuff, but you can do a lot with it. The combination of that wood and the pablab. Yeah, so yeah, that's a kind of overview of these projects. And my website, I'm in the process of updating it, but you can see some more of my work there. Yeah, so thank you. That was it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Hanna. Yeah, now we're up for any questions.
Yeah.
I don't understand what Brigham was asking at the beginning. But I mean, I can go off with questions, but I want to make sure there's an opportunity for others who might have some. And feel free to either put in the chat or unmute yourself if you want to say anything.
Thank you.
Well, people maybe think of some. I was curious, you mentioned that design is young here in Iceland. I was wondering if you can kind of elaborate a bit more on that and why you find so and how the scene is changing.
I think it's because design education, there was no design education here for such a long time. I mean, people went to Denmark to study design, but there was no like design taught in schools. So there weren't that many designers. People mainly bought Danish design or it was imported and stuff. So I think it was like basically just in the 90s that they made this art academy that taught design, that it really became something. Of course, there was design in the 60s. It's just a very small amount of people and yeah, just a very, very small scene. So we don't have this rich history of it in a way. And yeah, so therefore I seriously didn't even think about design. I just thought that somehow I felt like I'm not an artist, so I didn't think about, but I didn't know there was something called design, which was somehow a bit more practical, but then it turns out I'm a very unpractical designer, so I don't know what happened there, but yeah, so that's the thing.
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of more just like the design thinking behind your work of being very process driven as well, which
Yeah,
can
I
also
think
be seen
so.
as an art form, but yeah, it requires a lot of design mindset for it.
Yeah, I think so. And then yeah, and then I lose a bit of the functionality on the way, or I don't care so much about that it's like super functional, and therefore it leans into art a little bit. But making it is very important for me because I've also designed for companies and it has been gone into production, and then I feel like it's fun, of course, but it's less enjoyable. It's a different process.
Yeah. And what is it like designing something for commercial purposes? Like, what's that kind of experience been like for you?
I mean, I've done it, but it's been like I've been quite lucky with projects, but I've also had to adjust things to the company and stuff like that. But I feel that's quite good, like because it's funny. I've got projects where they don't, because I'm very, very colorful, and they just want brown or something. So I have to start designing in brown, but it's also nice because then I feel like it's not like really taking like a bite out of me in a way or something like that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it's also nice to step outside your world and to think in this, think from other people's point of views. I think it's very healthy and good. And that's why I also like sometimes in between I work with other people, because then you have to, because when I'm alone, I just say, oh yeah, that's a great idea and do it. I have no restrictions, but when I'm with other people, it has to be more of a dialogue, and it's also healthy.
Right, right. And you make all of your work either in your studio or at the Fab Lab?
Yes, my studio, I have like one studio in Hub in town where I do like the textiles and the woodwork and the assembling, and then I do the ceramics in another space where there's better access to water and like I need more electricity. So I have like two studios kind of where I do my work.
Nice. That's awesome. I'm wondering if anyone else, because I can just keep going with the questions, so want to let anybody else, if they have any thoughts or questions. I guess kind of going off of like the studio spaces, how is it like kind of work-life balance in a sense? Like how about like being a professional designer and maker, how you kind of make time also for just life?
Oh, I am always working. Like in the evenings, I'm working. I mean, if I can run away and go to the studio, I do it. And if I don't go to the studio, I get super grumpy. So then everybody is at home like, you need to go to the studio now, because I'm just like, I get somehow a bit grumpy. But so for me, I haven't found that balance. I'm constantly always thinking about work or what I want to do next or something like that. Of course, I enjoy being with my family and all that, but I don't have a good balance there. I really really enjoy working. So for me, it's just really nice to have time to do the straw work. It's luxury to just do the work, and I don't want to go on a beach or something. I rather, be in the studio. But maybe later it will come. But right now I really enjoy working.
Yeah, or almost more like playing in a way too. So it's not necessarily work.
Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes it's painful also, and I
Yeah.
still want to go because I know that it will just be a hill, and if I continue to work, I will get over it, and it will be easier. So it's yeah. So it's work. It's still work, although I play a lot.
Yeah. And you didn't really touch in much on where you get your inspiration from, as your work is very colorful. I was wondering if you can kind of shed some light into that.
I'm always like I read a lot. I like look a lot into books. I've finished the library here in Hub many times, and then I go like another round. And between projects, I often like to like go to the library, look at books, and it's just books about anything, you know, almost anything. And then also in the start of projects, I often allow myself to order some books. I'm very old school. I like paper, and if I know the theme is going to be boxes, for example, I get some box books just to get the different like technical stuff ready. But then I'm always like color hunting also when I'm out or, you know, just looking at the books or looking at TV or looking at anything. I'm a bit like hunting color, and I'm not very loyal to a color scheme, although my color scheme is like, basically it's like no editing. I know, like it's like I do whatever I want with color, but often the series, within the series, there is a certain color theme, and then I let go of it and I go into the next series. And I mean, sometimes it's close to each other, but sometimes it's totally different mood.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love how you have that, like, just no editing. I'm not that good at that personally in my work, so I think that's great that you kind of give yourself that freedom.
Horrible. Yeah, I'm really, really, I'm not sure if, I think it's, I started to do it a little bit more, but it's because I was always doing this on the side. I was always doing another job. And then this was the only time I got to do whatever I wanted. Then I was like, no, I'm not gonna, you know, edit or, you know, have any rules, because this is where I am. I can actually make the rules. So, and then I decided no rules.
Yeah, that's perfectly valid. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was curious about what got you into mixing materials? Is it same thing with the no rules, or
Yeah, I really don't know how it started. I think it was just experimentation. And I mean, even before Design Academy, I was doing it. I think it's because I'm always curious to know, you know, how will this look in another material? Like, how will this flower look felted, or how will this like this weave here? I did a lot of ceramic weaves. Like, how will it look in a rock? It's just, I think it's kind of curiosity to see how the material changes when it goes into another phase, and then it was somehow natural to mix it after that. Somehow yeah.
And do you have a favorite material? Like, if you could only have one.
Yeah. No, not really, because it's really like I always feel like I do a lot of clay, and then when I close the clay studio after a 1 month session, I'm like, oh, I hate clay now. And I go to the wood, and then I've been sanding wood for 5 days, and I finished that project, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to just go tufting again. And then I do tufting, so it's really like phases where I go in and out. And it also has to do with being very impatient, because I don't want to wait for the clay to dry. I use the time while the clay is drying to do something else. So I would be really sad to have to choose, because many times I've been told to choose materials. People have been trying to advise me to stick with one material and become really good at it. But I decided to become a amateur jack of all trades with many materials. And then maybe when I'm 60, I will be, you know, really good. But something will come up, because I just got gifted the other day. A woman quit her glass studio. She had like a stained glass studio, and she decided to give it to me. So I was like,
Wow.
oh no. Another one just came my way. Another one I will be bad at for 10 years. And then maybe I will be good at it.
Well, I'm excited what you're going to do with glass then. I'm sure that's going to be
Yeah,
really beautiful.
I'm really excited, but it will be again like a lot of like with the straw. I'm starting with the straw, so there's a lot of trial and error, and things do not look the way I want them to look, or I'm not skilled enough, and so I know like it will take me 10 years with the straw, so maybe I have like 8 years left there. I just got the hang of ceramics kind of. So it's like also a bit frustrating.
I feel like there's like a saying where it's like takes 10,000 hours to master
Yes,
something.
definitely does.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But it's very
18
exciting. Yeah.
years old, I will be good at.
Yeah. And in your ceramic practice, are you hand building? Like what type of techniques do you use in ceramics?
Yeah, I use different techniques. I use like a mix. I do hand building. I use an extruder a lot, and that mixes really well with the Fab Lab. I can laser cut dies for the extruder to get different shapes out of it. And so I use the extruder a lot. I use molds, plaster molds a lot. Hand building, extruder. I don't do the wheel. I've done like a class in that was really bad. But yeah, these kind of mix of hand building, extruder, and molds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I was curious, that tool that you had in the video for the straw, is that one that you made, or is that something that is like specifically
No,
designed
it's like
for it?
like I found on some straw corner of the internet. I found this straw shop in England. I think it was in Cornwall or something. Everything Corny, I think it's called, or something. And she has like Swiss straw tools, and there I bought it. Like this was really hunting these things down. So it's like a really fun tool that I use. So I was very happy when I got it.
Yeah, it
It
looks
took a
pretty.
long time.
Sorry.
So the British Post was hacked. At the same time, there was a big hack at the British Post. So I received it like, I think 3 months after I ordered it or something.
It's a bummer.
Anyway,
Oh.
yeah, it's a great tool.
Yeah. And then what sort of things are you going to be experimenting with this straw this coming fall?
I think just like trying, because I want to find like my own way with it, because this marquetry has been done a lot in like France. It's very there it is very they're very decorative. I'm very decorative, but I want to find like my own way with it. I want to try it with 3D. I've already done some tests in gluing it to ceramics, like a glaze. I mean, it's of course not for a cup, but for more ornamental things or sculptures. It's a really nice mix of materials. And to make some like more three-dimensional things with it, I tried to put the straw on something round, and it really went well around that because the straw used to be round, so it really like. So I think there's like a lot of more information I need to get to become, better with it and more creative, and really focus on that, because I've been having to have to mix it in all the time. Not having to have to, but I've been mixing it in. But I really want to just focus on it for a while, and then I will do like the wool for a while as well. So then I will do the new wood that I found. Like I have a new wood that looks like curly fries. I'm really excited about it. It's like really bent. So I'm gonna try to, instead of doing it all at once, I'm really gonna try to take some time to focus on each material solo without trying to combine it somehow.
Yeah, interesting. I'm sure that's gonna just kind of keep the ideas flooding in of like then being like, oh, like kind of like touching back what you know already, but then being like, ooh, there's this door of possibility that I haven't gone through yet. Let's see where that takes me.
Exactly. Just like a clear, I want to have like a free, clear researches now somehow.
That's awesome. And then overall, just being a designer and artist here in Iceland, how has that kind of shaped your journey?
Well, how does it shape my journey? I think, you have to be quite resourceful because you don't have access to everything. And you have to try to, of course, also because it's an island. I mean, I can already see like the ones who stayed in the mainland who went to school with me. It's a little bit easier for them, especially if they're inside EU, to ship things between countries, to take part in like international exhibitions and stuff like that. I mean, I'm on an island, and I'm not only on the island far away, but I'm also in Hornafjörður, which is 6 hours away from the capital, away from away from everything. So I guess you have to be a little bit resourceful and and somehow to stay connected is a challenge. To stay, then I mean to just not totally disappear.
And how do you find ways to stay connected?
I mean, I feel like I stay a little bit connected through my Instagram somehow. There I've talked to a lot of people there through the years. I've been there for a while. I mean, it has its ups and downs, but I feel like there I can show people what I'm doing a little bit. It's not like I have a huge following or something like that, but I've found a lot of interesting people there also to connect with, or to admire their work, or I think that's where I am a little bit now.
Awesome. And then with just like support for designers and artists in Iceland, where do you see it like going great, and where do you see like either government or the community needs to kind of step up a little bit more?
I'm not sure about this. I mean, because I have been really lucky with, or I wouldn't say I have been lucky with grants though, because it took me like 10 years to start to get grants. So I've also been there to applying for grants year after year after year, and everybody was like, what the hell is this? Like, why, it's weird. I don't want to, they didn't want to put money into it. But then I never quit. I always did the project I applied for, the grant. I did it anyway. It just took me a longer time. And to show that I can do this, and I will do this, and it will look like this, like I said I would do. And then I started getting more grants. But getting grants, I feel is like it's a bit of a double-edged sword, or like it's really good. I mean, I'm really grateful, but also it can be a problem when you get like half of what you asked for. You need that money, but half will then be free. So you like chop off one arm or something. Like you eat only noodles for 2 years, but you
very
get the
annoying.
project done. You cannot work another job, like a paid job, because you have to do this job because you took the grant. But still, you could have not gotten the grant, not gotten anything, and then it would have been even worse. So it's not. I'm very grateful, but it can be a bit difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like the artist salary in Iceland was very low compared to Scandinavia. Like only they were there's a very small percentage. If you are an artist applying for artist salary in Iceland, it's a 25% likely that you get it. If you are a designer applying for the design salary, it's I think around 3 to 5%. Because it's much lower budget there than the art field, because there was no understanding that you needed money in design to develop ideas. You should just make the thing and sell it, So, but that has just changed. Next year they are putting more money into it, which I think is good, because they're really great designers out there, young designers doing exciting things with local materials, and like really good group of up and coming designers, and they need it. So I think it's really good.
Yeah.
We are pampered. I mean, we are pampered because in many countries there is no grants. And that's what I hear from many of my friends. They're like, grants? What's that? At least we have some.
Yeah, and I find that, we're definitely very fortunate here, also being quite a small country, that it's not as competitive, for example, for like a full-on EU grant or a US or North American based grant, where you have more like hundreds of thousands rather than just maybe 1,000 or so applicants.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just finding your Instagram to share in the chat because someone asked for it. Here you go. Oops. Nope, I put in the wrong thing. To everyone meeting. Awesome. But Charlotte or anybody else, did you guys have any questions? Sorry, I can just keep going. I'm always having things to keep a conversation going. I know Alexander, you came in a bit late afterwards. But yeah. But you also have your work on display. I don't know if folks are calling in from within Iceland, but if you're coming to visit, Hanna has some of her recent work in display in Hup, part of the, I'm gonna butcher pronouncing the exhibition.
Yeah. Yeah, what is it called? No, it's
Finger or
Umhverfing. Yeah, I don't
Yep.
know how to say it in English.
It's something 5 senses is how Ava's described it to me.
Yeah, well, Umhverfing is an exhibition that is traveling around the country, around Iceland. So they started, I think, like it's the 5th time. So they take like just parts of Iceland and they say everybody who's connected to that part of Iceland can participate. And your connection can be from that your grandmother was from there to you just visited once and you loved it. So it's really like open. But then you get like, I think then, what was it, 50 artists or something now taking part here in this area. So I have an exhibition until August. It's just, yeah, here in Hup.
Yeah.
And I have some of my work like here and there in Reykjavik as well.
Yeah, and then Janssen had a question, kind of wanting just to know a little bit more of what's your greatest inspiration.
Yeah, it's hard to say, but I remember like one moment which was really like to me. It was because I was in Helsinki for I did an internship there with a company called Company. It's a really nice design studio. I recommend you check them out. And there was an exhibition with a glass, designer, Oiva Toika. He does like I think he's most famous for his glass birds. He has done many amazing things. And there was an interview with him. And I mean, he was just talking about glass, but he was talking about that it all happens in the moment. And I was like, yes, that's what I also like. That is like my greatest joy is just this when you're making stuff or when you're creating that you are that you're in the moment and that it happens like right there. And after that I think I'm always like hunting for that feeling of being in the moment, like yeah,
Just like very present and just letting the process kind of guide you.
When you're making, you are not thinking about anything else. Like, and that's so good. Núvitund. I don't know how you say it in English. Is to be in the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Amazing. Any final questions, thoughts, or comments? All right, but thank you so much, Hanna. Really appreciated you wrapping up this series for us, and look forward to eventually coming to finally visit your studio, as I keep saying that I would every time I'd go to Hub. And for those who are kind of new to this series, our past recordings have been uploaded to YouTube, as will this recording here, and there'll be links to reach out to her Instagram or her website if you have any questions afterwards. And yeah, thank you so much, everybody. I'm just gonna stop the recording before I forget.